Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is skate. Let's take a look at the definition of this verb. Skate means to move using ice skates or roller skates so that you're gliding over a surface, which could be ice or it could just be some kind of smooth surface. So the idea here, again, we're not taking steps and walking, we're gliding. You should know that skate is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, we're going to drop the E and then add ing to form skating. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by just adding the letter D, since this verb already ends with an E. The base verb, skate, ends with a T sound, so our past tense ending is going to make an id sound. Skated. Skated. Let's take a look at some phrasal verbs with skate. You might hear someone talk about skating around something, and that means that they are avoiding a difficult subject or maybe a difficult situation. Here is an example of this particular usage. My manager skates around when he's giving feedback. So perhaps this manager needs to tell someone they're not doing a very good job with something or that they need to improve. But they sort of avoid it. They don't say it directly as they provide that feedback. Something a bit similar is to skate over something, and that means to pass over a subject, a topic, a problem, maybe completely, or just refer to it very quickly. So here is an example of this usage. Some commentators skate over the difficulties and time involved in a constitutional amendment. I saw this usage recently because other people have made these suggestions about things that need to be amended or improved upon in the US Constitution. And someone else was saying, but you're passing over how time intensive or how much time it takes to be able to do that, or all the complex details that go into that process. The last phrasal verb we'll take a look at is skate through. And this means to make quick and easy progress through something. Here is an example of this. She skated through college. So what this sentence is suggesting is that college courses didn't take a lot of time, didn't take a lot of effort for this particular person. So she, in this case, our subject, was able to progress quickly, and college may have seemed really easy for this particular person. Let's continue using our verb skate in a couple different verb tenses. Today we'll look at the simple past tense and the simple future with will. So in the simple past tense, affirmative, we're going to use our ed, our past tense ending, no matter what the subject is. Here's an example sentence. The hockey players skated for an hour this morning. So again, this is a common sport that you will hear this verb skate used frequently because that's how they play the game of hockey, is by skating. Now, if I want to make a negative simple past tense sentence, I'm going to use did not and then the base verb. So I'm not using the ed form in the negative. An example of this could be, the kids didn't skate on the pond yesterday. So another way you might hear a native speaker say this is, the kids didn't ice skate on the pond yesterday. So here they're just being a little more particular about which type of skating. But either one would be fine, and either one would be understood. If you want to make a yes or no question in the simple past tense, I'd encourage you to start with did, then you'll have your subject, and then your base verb. Here's an example of that. Did you skate when you were a child? Right? So we're asking someone to reflect back when they were small. And again, you could make your question more specific. You could say, did you ice skate when you were a child? Or did you roller skate when you were a child? If that's the kind of information. If you're just curious about any type of skating, you don't have to make it more specific. Now let's take a look at the simple future. And today we're going to use will. And the nice thing about this construction is it's going to be the same no matter what our subject is. So in the affirmative, we'll have our subject, we'll use will, and then the base verb. Here's an example. The athlete will skate tomorrow despite her shoulder injury. So I know in the past tense affirmative example, I mentioned hockey. Another sport that involves this action is figure skating. And we'll take a look at something in just a moment that might help you kind of envision or see what that looks like. If I want to make a negative, simple future sentence, I'm going to use will not and then the base verb. Now, you might hear native English speakers use the contraction won't. Here's an example sentence. They won't skate when there's freezing rain. And lastly, if I want to make a yes or no question in the simple future using will, I'll start with will, then I'll have my subject, and then the base verb. Will he skate through the training program? So remember, this sort of connects back to that phrasal verb. Is this training program going to be easy? Will he finish it quickly? That's what this question is asking. Now we're ready to look at some related words and phrases. And again, I've tried to include some pictures here to help it make it a little easier to understand. So the first word we're going to look at today is the noun skater. This is a person who skates. We more commonly use it to refer to people who are skating on ice. And if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, I've got a picture here of a skater. Then this is likely a figure skater. You can see it's a sport that has a little bit of artistic expression to it. So you'll see people do a lot of quick turns and spins. You'll see them jump and hopefully land on their feet or land on the next verb or the next noun we'll look at, which is skate. So, but here's the sentence with the noun skater in it. There were 40 skaters at the rink. This connects again to the noun form of our word of the day here, skate. Skate could be just a short form in referring to ice skates or roller skates. So again, I've got a couple pictures. Here on the bottom left, you have some very old looking ice skates. But again, these would go on your feet. And here in the center is a picture of some roller skates. And it's fine for you to use the longer form of this, so calling ice skate or roller skate. But again, if it's sort of understood, you're talking about a winter sport and being outside, then it's probably understood that you're referring to ice skates. So here's an example of this noun in a sentence. Did you rent a pair of skates? So generally, ice skates and roller skates can be pretty expensive. Unless you're doing it very often, it's more common for people just to rent them for an afternoon or an evening of skating. The last thing we're going to look at today is the phrase, and it's to skate on thin ice. And before I explain the definition or the usage of this, I want to note and kind of have us think about for just a second that idea of thin ice. So it's common in very cold climates that people will go out and skate on lakes or ponds, but you want to have thick ice. You want it to have been cold for a very long period of time so that you don't fall through the ice. Okay? So with that in mind, think of thin ice as being dangerous. So the meaning here is if someone is skating on thin ice and it's not literal, right? They are putting themselves in some kind of risky or delicate situation. Might again think of it as kind of dangerous. And here's an example of that. The new employee is skating on thin ice with our boss. He better not be late to work again. So what these two sentences suggest to me is that maybe this new employee is not behaving really well. So maybe there are many things that are going wrong. He might be at risk for losing his job. So he's kind of put himself in a risky situation. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.